What's so funny?
Woo! We have officially been roomies for a year.
Time flies.
Hi guys, Ruchi here, and this is my boyfriend Kanav, if you haven't already met.
Nice to meet you guys once again.
We've been together for 4.5 years, going on 5 years in August. We moved in together last April, making us roomies for 1 official year. We've been doing all the fun stuff like paying for utilities, replacing toilet roll, you know, typical adulting things.
Yay!
I asked you guys to ask us some questions just about what living together has been like, what we've learned from each other, what our favorite memories have been like, all that good stuff. So I have a ton of questions here ready to go. And because I talk a lot, I'm gonna make the executive decision to make Kanav answer first.
Oh, really? Okay.
Question number 1, how do you come to a consensus when it comes to decorating and making mutual home decisions that you don't agree on? It's so hard.
I made it clear from the get-go. All I cared about in the condo, other than a place to sleep, was just my desk setup. In terms of decor, how we want to do the rest of the condo, I gave her full creative control. But the second part of that was me and her have very similar taste already, so it works out.
I like to have a little bit more control over my space. I don't think that I have to be controlling by any means in this case though, because like Kanav said, we have a lot of similarities in terms of our taste, what we like, things were just agreed upon without us even having to have a conversation. I don't know if it's just a guy thing to be very simple, but at the end of the day, that was something that I was more concerned with. Kanav was literally like, just do whatever, I don't really care. So it's worked out pretty well in our favor. At times it does get a little overwhelming, feeling like I have the entire control, and ultimately I don't want to make decisions that I favor. Given that it is also his space, I want him to like the end result, but it helps a lot that we have the same taste. Question number 2, how do you handle arguments?
I don't think we have arguments, we have disagreements, and as long as you guys can keep that delicate balance from a disagreement turning into an argument, that's kind of where the sweet spot lies. When you cross that fine line, I think it usually happens when both parties start to not be considerate of the other person's opinion or feelings, and when that happens, then you start spiraling out of control.
In terms of handling arguments per se, like Kanav said, we don't really argue. We sometimes just kind of have like disagreements, sometimes just smaller things that we're disagreeing about. But whether it's a bigger or smaller issue, one thing that we always do non-negotiably is ensuring that we communicate after whatever the disagreement is that we've had. We have found in the past that times where we haven't really communicated or made it a priority to just like sit down, see how the other person is feeling and hear each other out, the issue lingers a lot longer. It's been something that's been a priority for me as well as him for the last year, and I think that has helped us so much. Because frankly, it is a big deal to be moving out, whether you're moving out on your own or moving out with a partner, and it's a really big adjustment at times when you're moving out with someone else. They have different tendencies, they have different likes, dislikes, so it's all really important to be able to communicate.
Little nuances like making sure that we both don't go to bed mad at each other or any underlying tension hasn't been sorted out, because then we all know that carries on to the next day, and how you start your day kind of sets the tone for it as well. We're very, very careful with the words we use around each other. Things like cuss words, they almost are non-existent in our vocabulary, especially with each other.
I wouldn't even say they almost aren't, like they aren't. We don't even say like shut up or you're stupid to each other, because we really, really prioritize respect. And I know it might sound like, oh my god, snowflake, but like it's actually a really, really big deal to talk with respect to your partner, no matter how frustrated you are, no matter how angry you are, because you know, in passing, you'll curse here, you'll swear here, whatever, but like when it's directed to someone that you truly love and you like really respect and appreciate, it can make things a little bit more fragile. So maintaining that level of respect throughout and like making it a non-negotiable to speak to each other with respect, no matter how frustrated we are, that's another thing. How do you deal with dry spells? We'll just keep it short and sweet and just say we don't deal with them much. Are the bills split? My man and I live together and the only bill I pay are my overpriced groceries. I feel so bad. Like the last question, I guess this one is a little bit more subjective and comes down to what each couple is comfortable with, what's been made a standard, but for us, initially we were sharing pretty much everything 50-50, but as our diets have changed and as our lifestyles have changed, we've started to take care of our personal groceries ourselves, and then we still split the rest like 50-50. But that being said, it's really important to still keep the spark alive And I think kind of we'll get into that. But one thing that's helped us stay organized is definitely making like an expense sheet.
Yeah, in regards to keeping the spark alive, I think it is very much important to also do things for each other without putting it on the expense list, because it's nice. It's like the person you love is taking care of you and you get to do the same for them.
No matter how old a relationship gets, I think it's really important to still treat it like it's a new relationship and never stop dating each other. Even as you move into like the next phases of marriage and having kids and stuff, keeping the dating alive in your relationship, I think, is what adds that extra spark. How do you divide responsibilities when it comes to cooking, cleaning, and so on?
We try to split up the workload as much as possible. Obviously you're doing social media full time now, so you have more time in the day, but that doesn't mean I expect her to do that. Don't get me wrong, but sometimes I feel like when you're procrastinating from filming a video or something, you end up doing a little bit of the cleaning.
Oh, you're not wrong.
Yeah.
Not wrong.
Yeah, so she'll end up doing a little bit of the cleaning, but I feel bad, but it's like I never asked you to do it. So we still try and stick to the schedule as much as possible.
Yeah. Like, we don't have a hard and fast schedule on the fridge or whatever. I definitely think it's just a constant learning process, and you kind of have to be dynamic and see what works when it works. Initially, I essentially took on a lot of the responsibility, not because he pressured me into it. I was trying to do all the cooking and the cleaning, and it ended up feeling like it was my place, like solely my place. And at the end of the day, given that it's our place, we did have to have conversations that were a little bit uncomfortable, saying, you know, this is our place, we need to share the workload, and he is so receptive.
So us doing our groceries separately takes the pressure off from her end, because she's not worried about cooking all the food before it goes bad, and it takes pressure off of me because I don't have to feel bad about you doing the cooking 90% of the time.
Or even just things like being creative, right? When you're cooking for someone else, you almost overcomplicate it, or at least that's what I was doing. Next question. Ooh, this is gonna stir up an argument. What's your pet peeve about one another?
Front running.
Ooh, that was fast.
Her personality type is very much go, go, go. I like to think I'm composed, calm, a little too chill sometimes, which is why a little bit of the front running happens. But if you have somebody really chill and somebody very like speedy, you're obviously going to get a lot of front running, but it's kind of something that we both have to meet each other in the middle. So she has to calm down a little bit, I have to be less chill.
Well, if you want to get me started, no, I'm just kidding.
I saw you breathe in and I'm like, oh shit.
That's my pet peeve would be, yeah, like kind of hand in hand with yours. He's very lax, and I have no chill. It's almost too calm too much of the time. Yeah. Being calm is not a bad thing. Having patience is absolutely not a bad thing. That's like actually my hubris. I just don't know how to be calm a lot of the time. So he has positively influenced me a lot when it comes to just like learning to actually take it easy. But there are many times where I feel like he's just a little too lax, and that's why I guess the front running comes out. As much as we have pet peeves about each other, they're not like gut-wrenching, like mind-blowing pet peeves that we can't deal with.
Obviously, they're not deal breakers by any means.
Yeah,
so
no.
No matter who you're with, you're always going to have something to work on.
How did you convince your families?
That signed a lease.
There was a little bit more communication than that. I've always been really, really close and open with my family, just about any and everything that I'm doing, and he's very close with his family as well. They just communicate differently. As our relationship started to progress, we absolutely made it a point to make sure our families were comfortable with one another, really started to see each other as essentially a part of our own families. And I think because of the openness that we individually have with our families and the integration that we tried to really prioritize early on in our relationship with one another's families, that made them a lot more open to the idea. I get this question kind of a lot as a brown girl, like how did your parents say yes to it? And my parents have always been really, really modern about a lot of things, especially when it comes to being with a significant other and potentially living with them, to really just get that peace of mind that I'm happy living with this person and I'm very comfortable seeing this progress, and vice versa as well. That person also needs to feel comfortable living with you and accepting you for who you are 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
I don't want to make this comparison, but like you don't even buy a car without test driving it. How can you expect to marry somebody and be okay with it for the rest of your life if you don't even know what it's like to live with them?
What's one of the biggest learnings you've had about the other gender since moving in?
That's a really good question. Before moving in, A lot of the stereotypes about women and guys, I didn't really pay it much mind, but once you move in, you actually quickly realize guys do operate a certain way, and so do girls.
It's very, very clear that women are subconsciously or consciously wired or socialized in a certain way, and men are done in a different way, because we have a lot of conversations and tendencies individually that we talk to our friends about, we talk to our families about, and it's just very evident that women operate very similarly and men operate very similarly as well.
Yeah. For guys, they prioritize peace of mind. For girls, they just want reassurance and just to be heard.
Yeah, I guess. Red pill. Favorite memory in your space from the last year?
There's been a lot. And I feel like, and I'm not trying to boost anything, I feel like a lot of the intimate moments that we have, they very much are kind of like movie moments. Everything from putting our place together and finally sitting down on the couch when we first moved in. It felt like an episode from Friends, to celebrating our anniversary in our condo for the first time. Nice red lighting, flowers, wine, and just you and me sitting there talking about everything that we've done up until that point and celebrating us. Like, there's a lot of moments for sure.
Yeah.
What are your favorite ones?
There are so many elements of our relationship that I actually have like pinch me moments about. It's kind of hard to believe that so much of what we experience, knock on wood, is actually real and actually happening to us. One memory that's really sticking out right now, again, this is not like an anomaly. These kind of things happen often, but it's just really standing out right now. It was a random evening. I think it was maybe the summer. It was still like warm-ish, and we had our curtains open, so there was a little bit of like moonlight coming in, but we had our Philips Hue lights on, and Kina Grannis's cover of Can't Help Falling in Love was playing, and we were literally slow dancing in the moonlight on a summer night to Kina Grannis in our condo. I was always someone who counted my blessings, appreciated what I have, but I feel like since moving into this space and kind of like seeing a lot of goals and dreams come to fruition together and be able to share that with one another has really been like the highlight of this, I think. Yeah. And final question to wrap things up, what's your best advice for couples moving in together?
It will be the same, anybody even entering a relationship, is just always be willing to work things out. Just listen to the other person, see what they're saying, try and internalize it, and then try and act on it to the best of your ability. And it doesn't mean you're going to do that to 100% of the things that they bring up, but as long as you're trying, that's all that matters.
I would say lead with love. Try to hear out the other person. Understand that they are doing things out of love for you as well. They're not attacking you if they say something. Be receptive, be open, and understanding that whatever they're saying to you is from a place of love. That obviously comes from a healthy relationship too. So fundamentally, just be really secure in your relationship. Trust your partner. Trust that their intentions and intuition is in line with yours prior to moving in, because oftentimes, you know, there are challenges that come up when couples who are not necessarily aligned correctly move in, and then they realize like, oh my god, this person is someone completely different. And I think it really comes down to how much you get to know each other prior to moving in. Well, our hallways are now being vacuumed, so I think that's our cue to shut up, because we probably did a lot of talking. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope we answered all of your questions.
Thank you so much for tuning in and hanging out with us, celebrating our 1 year living together. And I hope you guys took something of value and helps you guys out in whatever your journeys are.
We will see you guys here soon, and until then, take care, stay safe, and stay happy. Bye!
Bye guys.